with the top political interviews, expert analysis on burning national and state issues. I am Happy Tommy. I'm asking you to join Laju Awala on the program This Week Today, every Saturday on Rize FM 106.7, positively different.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show this week. Today, coming to you live from your award-winning radio station, Rise 106.7 FM, where we are broadcasting to you from the rich old city of Warrior in Delta State. And today on the show, we'll take a look at the recent ease of doing business survey, the report that was released and that particular survey was conducted by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, shared by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. But we are not looking at the report in terms of what it says concerning the entire country. We want to pay a little bit of focus on what the report says about Delta states. You know, about three states did well in that particular report, and that has to do with Gombe, Sokoto, and Jigawas. They are the state that did well in that particular report, but unfortunately, Delta state took the third position from behind in that report that was released. And the question is, what is going on? What are the factors that possibly made Delta State to have taken the third position from behind? And these are some of the issues that will capture our attention on the show today. But of course, I have two gentlemen with me in the studio, my regular guests on the show, Chief Robinson Ario. Sir, it's good to have you.
A pleasure to be here, and a very good evening to listeners at home.
And also, Reverend Louis Flabi, it's good to have you on the show today.
Good evening, Mr. Laju. Good evening, Deltas.
Okay, for those of you listening to us now, you have the opportunity to see us live in the studio. Just go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Rize FM Radio. You see the video. You see what we are focusing on there. You can do well to drop your comment and also share your thoughts with us, especially what you think are some of the factors militating against the ease of doing business in that state, and what the state government must do at this point in time, especially when this report has been revealed, to better the ease of doing business in Delta states. And I'll just give you the indicators upon which this particular survey was conducted. It was the various states were measured on 4 thematic areas. They include infrastructure and security, transparency and access to information, regulatory environment, and finally, skills, workforce readiness. Skills, workforce readiness. These were the 4 thematic areas with which these different states were measured. And unfortunately, Delta State took the third position from behind. But Chief, I have not gotten the reaction of the state government to this particular report. But if it were to be, for example, the government at the center, the federal government, I can envisage what their response would be. Of course, it's going to be to reject the report. But I don't know. From your own point of view, as we don't have ordinary citizen, but let's just use that word, as an ordinary citizen, ordinary Deltan, what is your first reaction to this particular report?
Well, I would want to speak as a specialist in social development. Now, when a research of this nature is prepared and released, it is not final in the sense that it still needs to be triangulated. It still needs to be presented to focus groups for proper analysis before, of course, inputs and feedbacks will be gotten to enable a complete appreciation of the report. I'll give you an example. About 4 years ago, I did a research in Ubeji, Ebukodo, and Ifie. And the research was to determine peaceable livelihoods in those areas. And part of some key areas we're looking at was employment and employability. Under employment, we discovered that most young people were stating that they were students, okay, and we couldn't, within that category of age bracket, the research drove us to the conclusion that the employment rate, the rate of those who are engaged in employment, was quite high. Now, by the time we now did the triangulation of that report, we discovered that most of those who told us that they were students were actually persons who did not want to state that they are unemployed, because, for instance, they were planning to do postgraduate in one area or the other. That plan itself may not have actualized, but they will just simply tell you, because of their frame of mind, that they are students. And again, there was also this example of asking people that based on what they see now, in the next 2 years, how do they see things happening? Do they see things improving or retrogressing? Majority of them, I think 95.6% of them, said that they saw things improving. But by the time we did the triangulation, we discovered that because of the belief that Nigerians have generally not to profess something negative. So it's not actually that they did not believe that things will get worse, but they did not want to profess that things will get worse. So you need local content, to put into some of these, because the empirical raw data itself may not be sufficient to appreciate it. But on a day-to-day empirical experience in Delta State, you find some of these indicators that will make you believe that businesses are not very, they don't have a good eco environment to operate. For instance, let us take behind here, there's a road here in Ogun, that is the express, the bridge there. Now, the road usually is the point which vehicles ought to navigate is usually bad. It's a very bad spot. So other vehicles now try to beat the one-way traffic and pass through a particular road that they ought not to pass through. And you will discover that that is the point where, of all the roads in Warri, that is the point where those who are called vehicle inspection people, DASMA, will stand to now contravene those who do not want to ditch their cars but want to pass through, as a matter of necessity, pass through proper place. But of course, we still know of the problem of DEVE, which is recurrent. When you talk about employment and employability, you have this entitlement mentality. Most people from communities that are oil bearing believe that once they have graduated, irrespective of what they graduate with, they are supposed to be entitled to employment automatically. And so you find that the reluctance to pursue and improve themselves, to acquire skills that will speak to the demand, the real demand of the day, is not there, because they have a mentality that it is their right, to do so. So some of these factors, then look at the insecurity. There is a connection.
Before we start looking at the variables, specifically, let me bring Reverend Louis Afolabi into the conversation and even ask, Reverend, going by what Chief has said, this particular survey carried out by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, will it state in any way, will it do the country any good? Is it of any benefit to states in the country, or it's a waste of resources?
Mr. Laju, it will be of benefit if the states take it very seriously. Why do I say so? You cannot be a judge in your own matter. You need other people to assess you and see the way and manner you do things. For the benefit of the public who are listening to us, what is the meaning of ease of doing business? Ease of doing business simply means doing business in a way and manner that is not stressful. Doing business in a way and manner that it is easy to do business. To take a decision decision to do business is not a day's job. To tie down your money in an investment that will last 50 to 100 years is not a day's job. You must think through it, and you must ask yourself the question of the environment I am about to do this business. How easy is it for me to do this business? That's just the concept of ease of doing business to a layman. And so the presidential committee or task force have gone to work, and I have gone around the states of the federation, and I have assessed each of the states. I would have said it is politically inclined, but Sokoto State is a PDP state that came second. Sokoto State came second next to Gombe, if I'm not mistaken. It shows that it was not done, there was no political inclination to the assessment. So I would advise, under this circumstance, that every state should look at the reports of that presidential committee dispassionately, critically, and see where they need to put things in order, and make their state, respective state, be sellable, be acceptable, be welcoming to investment, to doing business. Delta State coming third from behind is not a palatable news for a Delta like me. I'm not happy. I expect my state to do well. And so when I saw that report, I was not happy at all. And you remember, you recall that several at this program, we have said it time and again, that there's a need to do what is needful in order to create an enabling environment for business to thrive in a state like Delta that has so much in terms of investment opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, if you are listening to us or you're watching us live on Facebook, I understand some of you are waving at us there. We'll love it if you can drop your comment, share your thoughts with us, and especially would appreciate, especially if you can share thoughts on what you think should be done to make the business climate in that state better than what it is now, to improve on the quality, on the ease of doing business, and some of the things you think the government is doing now that they are not doing well. Don't just point it that they are not doing it well, please. Also tell us what you think the government can do to remedy that particular situation, because that is one of the essence of the program here, not just to generate the conversations and all of that, but for us to also provide solutions to some of these ills we identify in society. But you can also call us live in the studio. I'll give you the numbers now with which you can join the conversation live in the studio. The numbers for you to call is 070 56 54 1067. 070 56 54 1067. The second number you can call is 07010 781067. 07010 781067. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Okay, please, the moment you call, do well to reduce the volume of your radio set. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, good evening, please. What is your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Warri.
Okay, please. Okay, hold on quickly if you can.
Yeah, really. Hello?
I can hear you. Continue.
Hello?
Okay, please, the moment you call, do want to reduce the volume of your radio set. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and just go straight to the point. Okay, Chief, let's take the indicators one after the other. Okay, before we start looking at the indicators, for the benefit of those who are yet to see the report or who have not read the report, each of the states were actually measured on a 10-point basis, or they were ranked on a scale of 10. Abuja and Gombe occupied the first position, having 7.69%. Sokoto had 6.88%, while Jigawa had 6.79%. And going to those who did well from behind, we have Delta State occupying the third position with 4.32%, Zamfara Okay, Taraba occupied the second from behind with 3.91. Then you have Zamfara with 3.54. So those are the figures, just in case you've not seen the report before. Well, I want the gentleman in the studio to start speaking to these indicators that were used for this report. And one of them is infrastructure and security. When we look at this particular one in Delta State, Chief, from what you know, would you say Delta State is doing bad infrastructural-wise, especially infrastructures that support business and in terms of our security businesses in Delta State?
I would want to first of all say that I want to react to some of the things that my colleague here spoke about, if I may. You see, I feel that as to the import, the significance of the entire report, that we are not even at a point to even discuss the significance of the report, because most of the state governments have not set for themselves an agenda to make their states, friendly for businesses. Why do I say so? I say so because almost on a monthly basis, the government is coming out with different names of different taxes. You have waste disposal, where waste is not even being disposed of. You will have development levies. In fact, the levies are they constitute a cocktail. So for me, it is only a person who knows that is going to an examination that will look at his report card. In other words, evaluation department or unit that will go around without there was no need to have this kind of report before you make a move. Ask yourself, a government that has been in power for 6 years, what has been the impact of my policies and programs on small and medium scale businesses? Have they been growing? So that mindset ought to be there first, which means that you really know that you have set a target for yourself that you want to meet. I believe it should be inside out rather than outside in. What is coming now is a result coming from outside into a state of affairs that does not seem to appreciate that is even a goal that it should set for itself. Now, back to your question, security. Increasingly, you will see that there is hardly any small-scale business that is thriving in Delta State that doesn't have to take a mobile police station and guard its activities. In other words, the MD of most of these medium and small-scale businesses move around with extra cost.
Okay, Chief, let's do this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Quickly, if you can, what's the name and where are you calling from?
This is Coordinator. You're calling from Nicoya.
Okay, quickly, if you can.
What is the question? The question is how can we improve the business in the line of the business in our state?
What are the factors you think are affecting ease of doing business, and how can we improve on it?
One of the factors there, the problem is the leaders in the community. The leaders in the community. Let me give you one example. Like there was a year, that was 2017. I'm not mistaken, 18. The project came to our community when a government want to build another school lodge, let's say school classroom for the students. So when the contractor wants to start the work, the community leaders and the youth, they came to come and meet the contractor, that the contractor should pay a huge amount of money before he will start the project. This is a classroom that the government is building, it's not individual, it's a classroom that government is building, but they came to come and stop the contractor. That the contractor that got...
I'm with you, I can hear you.
Yes. They came to come and stop the contractor. They said until the contractor pays the amount of money, he will not start the project. But thank God for my father. My father is the kind of man in the community that takes all these kind of things. He went to the community leaders and the youth. He went at Kalisi.
Okay, thank you. I understand the point is made already that communities are also part of the challenges. Hello, good evening if you can hear me. Hello, good evening if you can hear me. Okay, please, the moment you call, do well to reduce the volume of your radio set before calling even. And the more we pick your call, just be fast as you can because we have quite a lot of people waiting. Hello, good evening. I'm fine. Where are you calling from?
My name is Paul.
Okay, quickly if you can.
See, I want to tell you something, Raji.
Okay.
See, when this man was ruling Mubarak, I think he won
I'm sorry, you have to call back. The line is not too clear. Meanwhile, you are not telling me. You are telling our listeners and our viewers. Those are the people you are really talking to, not me. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Quickly, if you can. Hello, good evening. Okay, Chief, I'll allow you continue.
Now, the point I'm making is that if you were to go out there and look at plazas are tasking themselves, paying between 2 to 5,000 naira monthly to ensure that their goods and equipment are secured. So, because of the threat to security, safety, people are overspending. They are spending much more. Their overhead is much more than it ought to have been if the government were responsible enough to provide security. Most of the streets you have in Warri today have their own civil defense arrangement to even protect themselves. And this has an impact on small and medium scale businesses. Now look at the infrastructure. Look at just here too, within our vicinity here. There's a particular road now, because of the 2-3 days rain, people are unable to pass easily. There are 2 vehicles that are broken down there, and all these affect the factor of doing business. This will affect your rating as per the ease of doing business in your state. So the infrastructure is just not there, despite the billions of naira or hundreds of millions of naira that is said to have been allocated to the commission that is in charge of Warri Uwe development. We have seen quite a lot of projects that are either white elephant or non-concluded projects. The same drainage, which was done with hundreds of millions of naira, as we are told, has now been called to duty and it has failed. And so the infrastructure is really, really not there. The roads, most of our roads are not in good condition. You repair the road today, the manner, the quality of job being done in repairs across the state, they are nothing to write home about.
Chief, if you are saying all of these, some people will begin to question, your position, because one of the things that the governor of Delta State, His Excellency, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, is reputed for and has earned him an accolade is road infrastructure. In fact, he's known as the road master. So if you are not saying that the road master is not doing well in terms of road infrastructure that supports business, it appears you are saying something that people don't understand.
Shakespeare wrote that the eye sees not itself except by reflection. He can call himself the road master, but the people out there, what is the impact of his mastery of road? The impact of his mastery of road is that most of our roads are no longer passable. The impact of his mastery of road is that farmers cannot access their farms easily. So, if it is in terms of hypocrisy, you can say yes, it's the mastery of road. But in terms of reality on the ground, it's completely a different situation. And as I speak, I know that Deltans are out there who are suffering under the collapsed infrastructural system we have in Delta State, including the roads. Our roads are so bad that we visit the mechanics now more often than we ought to. So if the roads were good, we would not be visiting the mechanics as frequently as possible. So the point I'm trying to make in essence is that, there is the politics of road mastery and there is the reality of the enjoyment of the road. He can be a road master in all the books, in all the newspapers, but what I see on the ground is terrible. And I know too that what a lot of people see on the ground is terrible.
Do you agree with Chief on this, or you think he's pushing it a little bit too far?
Laju, let me use a simple analogy and extend this point. In the days of Donald Duke in Cross River State, there was this observation that people rarely go to mechanic. And the mechanic in Calabar in particular also attested to the fact that people rarely come to them. Because the comprehensive approach of Donald Duke to infrastructural development in Calabar and Cross River State was visible. And later part of it, Ababio took over. And I am a living witness. In 2006, I was there for a conference. And in 2014, I was there for another conference. And I passed through a particular road. There was a landmark on that road. And I discovered that in that 2006 conference, when I came here, I sat on a primary school in this same place. But I could not recognize that place again because there was a massive transformation. The depth of the drainage in Uyo and the work that was done by Julobeja. Some people, indigenous of Uyo, confessed that they could not recognize the way to their homes again.
Isn't that the same thing that Governor Ifeanyi Okowa has done with the... just allow me to put the question to you. I'm the one asking the question.
Yes,
Okay. With the Asaba storm drainage project and also the massive Warri drainage project being handled by the Warri Uwe Special Areas Development Agency.
Laju, the point you are making is a comprehensive approach and the level of expertise, the level of quality that is involved. The other day you saw a video trending of a road in Okwanam where people's vehicle, I'm sure that was not a video, how do you call it, it was not a photo trick. It was a reality of people's vehicle being taken away. People were almost losing their lives in the flood of Akwanam. Like Chief rightly said, yeah, you can sell us in the books that these things are being done. But when the test comes, can the works withstand the test? Just 3 days rain in Warri, and you have seen what has happened everywhere. The Warri Uwe Development Commission, or how do you call them? Agency, their work have come to test. Just like the scripture says, every man's work shall be tested. So their work have also been a subject of test, and we have all seen the results. So, my dear, I don't criticize government for the sake of criticizing government. I'm passionate about Delta State. I want to see Delta State thrive. But for goodness sake, they should also listen to us from this end and ensure that things are done the way it ought to be done by making sure you have a benchmark of your development policy. I have said again on this program that Delta State does not have a development plan. Each time I come here to speak on the other on my other constituency, the belt environment, we have said time and again that Delta State, I even engaged the commissioner for urban development on one of your programs here, and we said we do not have a master plan for Delta State. There's no master plan, and you cannot develop a state without a master plan. Delta State should have the courage. Delta State should have the courage to once again go back to the drawing book and get the experts in the belt environment, commission them to give them a master plan, so that when you are carrying out your plan, everything is keyed in a masterly way, in such a way and manner that there will not be any haphazard development. Because when you go haphazard, it's like you are trying to patch a cloth that is already torn. As you are patching here, it is tearing the other way, and that's what is happening in Delta State.
Okay, the phone lines are still open. I'll do what to do some of your calls now. The numbers again for you to call is 070-5654-1067. I'll take it slowly so you can get it. 070-5654-1067. The second number is 070-1078-1067. 070-1078-1067. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Please, quickly, your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, let me go and shop.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
Yes. You see, in order to be able to get whether this statistic is right or wrong, there's one thing that happened just recently, I think last week.
Okay.
We have issue that got to do with all these transporters, Keke and Co.
Okay.
The government say they don't have enough money, so they want to generate more revenue. But Keke rider, they are asking how much is it that we are going to use to collect this our driving license and co. They call people from the revenue office. Nobody can specifically say that this is what you go. So the Keke people will now go to different locations to go and acquire this thing. You'll be hearing 18,000, 15,000, 12,000. So why can't government on their own come out and say, this is anywhere you get to acquire this thing, this is what it is. And they call them on some radio station. They should come and defend themselves, but they are unable to come. So likewise, in different revenue they collected, you hear different receipts. So how do you expect that? How will you now say that ease of doing business is easy as easy? So that means the ease of doing business. I if you remember last week, Friday, when rain fell in the town, we are all bearing witness. So that's why, if not by that mere rain falling and the way the entire water environment was, you say that the government has failed as far as data is saying. So how do you not?
Okay, thank you very much, Olarinwaju, because of time, and so we can allow other people to talk. But Chief, Olarinwaju was almost driving us into the other factor or indicator we were to look at. That has to do with transparency and access. And but before you go into the issue,
allow me to speak about security.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Yes,
Before we look at the issue of transparency and access, Chief, there's also the issue of infrastructure and how people have access to some of this infrastructure. Because when we talk about infrastructures, we are not just talking about roads. We also talk about structures like markets, Ubangwe markets and May market. They are all examples. Some people say you look at the Ubangwe market, the way it was allocated, for example, it wasn't allocated in such a way to support the growth of business in that area. As a result, you see the main markets still being scanty, despite the fact that it appears the council will tell you that the entire shops in that market has been allocated. Who were they allocated to? Are these part of the factors, affecting, ease of doing business in our states, especially in our local government?
Absolutely. You see, we over-politicize our economy and policies. Now, you see a young man who is in an office, a public office, and he wants to empower in his own mind the people of his constituency. You will see that those who line up are people who have been chosen along political lines. Okay, a market is built. Okay, you want to allocate the market. You ensure that the political leader in Ward X, Y, Z are the ones that get a chunk of what, because
and they were not original traders in the market.
they were not. So they will now sublet. So you now have a middleman feeding the entire objective.
If you have a middleman, is it likely to have an effect on cost on the part of those who are now taking?
Absolutely, because the middleman is not a Father Christmas. He's a middleman because he has an objective of making profit.
Okay.
So you have a situation where the government has decided to provide infrastructure. That's why you have some government that decide to create economic free zone, EPZ.
Okay.
In these zones, certain incentives are provided for businesses to thrive. So where a government has decided to build a market, it should ensure that in allocating, I'm not even saying that they should make 100% merit allocation. But what's happening now is that 100% is political allocation. So if they decide to say 10%, we'll give 10% for political patronage because some people supported us, that is still understandable. But what we have today is that at the end of the day, those who are genuine businessmen, small-scale business owners, don't even benefit from the very project or policy that was intended to target them. So that is why I said we are over-politicizing our economy and policies. So basically, not until we step back and say, what exactly do we want to do? Because democracy is supposed to, as I always say, be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So if the government has decided that I want to touch the lives of the people, let it be the life of the people that are touched, not the life of APC members, not the life of PDP members, as the case may be. So that at the end of the day, we will know that a governor is a governor of the state and not a governor of PDP. A House of Assembly member should be the House of Assembly member representing the constituency, not the House of Assembly member representing the PDP members in the constituency or the APC members in the constituency. And the local government chairman should be a local government chairman for the entire local government and not for the PDP members alone, or the APC members alone. So because at the end of the day, you are using the resources belonging to everybody. Everybody is a taxpayer. The taxpayers are not only PDP. The taxpayers are not only APC. So the moment you step into office, let us endeavor to ensure that our policies and programs are designed to touch all manners of persons, irrespective of the political parties they belong to. From there, we can now graduate to ensuring that those people who are contributing to the development of the state, including those that you are appointing, are not completely only from a particular political party, because no political party is a repository of capacity and intelligence. They are also in other places. So you see, you should allocate certain percentage. You can do some political patronage, but your entire allocations should not be geared towards political patronage.
Okay, I'll just take one or two messages we have on our Facebook page. Friday, Dominion is saying, okay, good evening. We say good evening to you too. Tony Anayo, you have two messages here. Both of them are almost the same, so I'll just take one of them. So, Laju, the problem with Delta State is the PDP political dynasty. Since Ibori time, unless there's a change in that dynasty, Delta State will not move forward from this political. I think what you mean to say here is quagmire. Okay, thank you very much, Tony Anayo. And if you are listening to us and you're trying to call the studio line, you can connect. Go to our Facebook page and just drop your comment there. We'll do well to take it in course of the conversation. Okay, I'll allow you now, Reverend Louis Falabi, to speak on this as well as the security aspect of it.
Laju, I want to dovetail into what Chibario said. You go and look at Mwangwe market.
Are you abandoning the issues in the security?
I'm coming. I want to dovetail. Please allow me to flow. The Mwangwe market was built by Delta State government, by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under Schedule 4, if I'm not mistaken. It is the duty of the local government to build market. But that burden has been taken over by Delta State. What does it take Orissa local government to pave the market? That place is an eyesore. When you go there,
to get the fact right,
yes,
we cannot clearly say that market was built by the Delta State government.
Okay,
there's an argument
let me give my facts. What I'm saying, so I was in a town hall meeting in the Federal Government College when the now chairman pleaded with the state government to hand over the market to them. So that gave me the impression that it may have been built by Delta State government. I'm talking what I saw and I was there.
Yes, it was built by the Superdec agency.
Okay,
and there was the argument that it was actually a particular ethnic nationality that used their resources in the Superdec.
The funds in the Superdec, yes, they are partitioned on ethnic.
Okay, whatever. But I'm talking what I saw. It was then on
you are right to that.
Pleaded with the governor to hand over.
Because the same government had the keys.
Okay, thank you. The point I'm making is that my take is that we are still talking about the ease of doing business. That market, the way it is today, is an eyesore. It's a modern market for crying out loud. Take your show market in Lagos, and you go there and you see the environment. You want to admire the environment. The Honorable Tini should go there, get that place paved, and make it beautiful so that people can walk around the market with ease. It's part of it. But going on the area of security, my dear, if you are bringing expatriates or even people from Lagos to work in Delta State offshore, you need to hire gunboats. I'm telling you practically, I work offshore, I can tell you, hire soldiers. So you get it. So when these people are assessing, these are part of what they factor in, that you need to get gunboats to be able to enter into the creek, to be able to walk. That tells you that the environment is still not safe. That's the aspect of security I want to emphasize on, which is affecting the ease of doing business in Delta State.
Okay, what about the situation of if you want to develop your personal property and they tell you that you must pay development levy by community individuals and all of that, and there's nothing the local government can do most of the time, and sometimes you first pay to the local government and these people come, they tell you you must pay, and nobody is there to protect you and all of that. Are all this part of the issue?
Laju, Delta State in 2018 came out with a law called Public and Private Property Protection Law. We all celebrated that program, that law in your studio here, in the other program I normally come in. And we were all looking forward to the enforcement of that law. I happen to be, let me tell us some of the things, I happen to be privileged to be in the meeting of the state government. And that issue, I raised that issue, and I was told by the government officer that they challenged the then Attorney General whether there have been any persecution, and he said there's no persecution. And my reply was that, sir, nobody will want to stick out his neck to challenge those forces, because some of them are elements that are backed up by the same political system in Delta State. As I'm talking to you now, people are going around whether they call zonal planning authority Asaba, going down to some selected building in Warri, pasting poster for you to bring out your building plan, which is against extant law of planning, and they are harassing those landlords, because all they are trying to do is to extort from those landlords whom they see their building as good enough for them to cover money. These are relatives. I don't know who are behind all these things in Delta State. I'm emotional. Let me say my mind.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Because of time, Chief, if you can in 1 minute, take a look at this particular one, the regulatory environment. I suppose it has to do with government policy, relevant law that protect people who want to do business and all of that, and not just having the law, but to the extent to which they are justice able. When you look at it in that sense in Delta State, how well is the state doing?
Abysmal, because we have an anti-devil law, that, like my colleague said now, that is no law, because a law is no law without force. You know, we have a situation where if you were to come and establish a company today, the community people will determine for you the number of workers you will take. And to the extent that sometimes they even determine for you the number of workers that will be ghost workers, the ones that will sit at home. Okay, these are people sitting at home, and you are funding, you are paying with your hard-earned money. So all this will pile up your overhead. So, and the government knows this, and like he said, these people are untouchable because they are within the political machinery through which the government comes into power, and so they are treated very, very carefully.
Okay, there's so much we can take on the show today, which we had more time to look at the other indicators. But maybe next week we take a look at this again, so we can have a logical conclusion to all of this discussion, and we can also profile a lasting solution to some of the challenges facing us as a state. But thanks a lot to Chief Robinson Rio and Reverend Louis Fulabi for their time on the show today. And all of you who also make a time to talk to us on our Facebook page, some of you call the studio lines, thanks a lot. The show may have ended live on air, but remember it's still ongoing on our Facebook page. So go there, you see the entire show, you can watch it again, and let's keep the conversation going there. But until I come your way again next week, I am Laju Awala saying bye for now.